Good morning, boys and girls. I'm so glad that you're joining us this Sunday for our next episode of Meadowbrook Kids. We have a great episode today. Today we're going to be talking about the Feast of the Pentecost. Right, it's a great feast, and you're going to hear from my friend John, and he is going to share with you guys an awesome lesson. But before we do that, let's go over our memory verse for this month. Our memory verse is this, Proverbs 19:21. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." All right, it's going to be a great lesson today, and why don't you guys tune in for our game now.
Jesus is our righteousness. God keeps his promises. God's Son brings peace. God honors faith. God inspires worship. God is trustworthy. God is the one and only. God awakens us. God rescues. God is real. God is always at work. God restores. God is Lord of the harvest. The master builder, God's hand at work.
As we've already discovered in the Big God story, God was good to his people. He provided for them in many different ways. One of the specific ways God provided for them was through the harvest. Back then, people didn't go to the supermarket for their food in the same way. Many times, people grew their own food in the fields and in the gardens. They relied on the rain and the healthy crops every year to feed their family and their animals. Every year, the people would remember and celebrate God's abundant provision during the Feast of Pentecost or harvest. This was a time when people would stop working. They gathered together and they made sacrifices to God from the first fruits of their whole wheat harvest. It was a time to remember God's abundant provision. You know, God provided for the Israelites, but he also provides for you and me. We can trust that God is able to meet our needs. In my life, I've seen God meet my needs in some pretty spectacular ways. When I've had big bills to pay, God has sent people into my life who've surprised me by giving me the money I needed. God's not always just provided through money. He's helped me with people giving me clothes or cars to drive or places to stay. Sometimes God has provided people to help me when I was sad or hurting or just when I needed a friend. See, God knows all of our needs and he provides the help we always need. When I was your age, God provided for my family in a pretty big way. See, my dad was a business meeting and I loved going to his nice office and seeing his cool suits. One day though, I remember finding out that our family business was struggling. The country was struggling. People were struggling for money and in their jobs, and my dad's company was losing a lot of money. In fact, they were forced to go bankrupt. That's what happens when we run out of money. My dad lost his job and money was tight for a long time. But whenever we face challenges, I saw God provide. When I was worried we wouldn't have enough food, God sent people with groceries for our family. When we didn't have a car to drive, God used somebody to give us a car. How crazy is that? Sure, it wasn't always easy, but I never remember there being a time when God didn't provide what we need. In fact, God often provided abundantly. Do you know he's a good God? The Bible says that God cares even for the sparrows in the trees. It says he feeds the birds and he clothes the lilies. And it says, how much more do you think he cares for you? So much more. So whatever you may be facing, you can trust God to provide your needs because God blesses and provides abundantly.